We'll discuss now about the Halacha. We're coming closing up to Shavuot, so we need to discuss a little bit the halachot of milk and meat and waiting 6 hours between eating meat to eating milky products. It's fascinating to see that it's one of the few areas where the rabbis went to such extreme, because we know that from the Torah, biblically, only if you cook meat and milk together, only then you'll be transgressing the prohibition of the Torah when you eat it. Not only when you eat it, when you cook it as well, and you can't even benefit from it. But it's only when they're cooked together. Yet the Chachamim restricted us that even if you eat them together, not cooked, there's still a rabbinical prohibition. Furthermore, they distance us so far that even when you eat meat, you should wait prior to eating milky products. We're not now discussing the other way around. We'll leave that for another time. But if one eats meat, then we have to wait a significant amount of time before eating milk, as we know that is the practice of the whole of the Jewish people, those who observe Torah mitzvot. There is a difference between the Ashkenazim and the Sephardim slightly, or between the original practice of the Ashkenazim at one point in history, that they used to wait from meal to meal rather than the 6 hours we wait. So let me explain exactly where it comes from. There is a Gemara which says, the Talmud says, that one should wait ben sa'udah le sa'udah prior to eating milky products. And that means sa'udah le sa'udah. I just have to point out that the father of the rabbi who said this is Baruch said it by his father, that he used to, in the day he ate meat, he never ate milk at all. He would wait 24 hours to eat milk. He'd eat only on the next day. We don't go as far as that. He considered himself, his son, as halab bar hamra, vinegar the son of wine. I mean, he was so diluted that he didn't keep that restriction which his father did. However, the Gemara says, misa'udah le sa'udah. Now, what does sa'udah to sa'udah means? So the holy Rabbanut and many Rishonim hold that sa'udah le sa'udah literally means tu birkat hamazon, end your meal, you can start now a meal eating milk. You just don't have it in the same meal. And that's sufficient to protect us from any confusion. However, the Rambam and the Rif and most Rishonim hold not like that. When the Gemara says misaudah le saudah, it's referring to what generally people wait between meal and meal. In the olden days, they used to have meal the latest by lunchtime. By 12 o'clock, they would have the first meal. And then they would have in the evening when they came back from work. The Rambam writes, Hu keshesh sha'ot. It's something like 6 hours. He gives that expression. However, the Shulchan Aruch changed it and wrote 6 hours, 6 hours. But let's understand this. 6 hours between eating meat to eating milk. And there are two reasons for this. The Rambam holds that the reason why we wait 6 hours is because of basar sheben hashinaim. Unfortunately, we don't have such perfect teeth, and sometimes the meat can get stuck in between our teeth for up to 6 hours. Now, what happens after those 6 hours? After the 6 hours, the meat is already flavorless. It's got no flavor at all. So according to the Rambam, after 6 hours, really, you can have milk without even cleaning your teeth. However, Rashi holds not like that. Rashi holds that the reason why we wait 6 hours is because of the taste and flavor which comes out from the eating. Meat has a strong flavor, and therefore it can take up to 6 hours for flavor still to come out of our mouths. So those are the two reasons, and there are differences between the reasons, but we've adopted both reasons to the observing of the 6 hours between meat and milk. Now, there's no difference between chicken and meat according to the Shulchan Aruch, according to the Rambam. There seems to be absolute no difference between chicken and meat. It's so mashma from many places in the Talmud that when they restrict, even though from the Torah, it's only meat which comes from domesticated animals that you have to keep the restrictions. However, when it comes to the rabbinical restrictions, they did not differentiate between chicken and wild animals, hayot and ofot, to basar behema. Now, that refers also to waiting 6 hours. There's absolutely no difference. Even the Shulchan Aruch says, even if you add basar haya ve'of, you still have to wait 6 hours prior to eating milk. There are some opinions. The Meiri, which was a Rishon, he actually, based on a source which he had in Pesikta, that he interpreted that into meaning that if there is a quicker digestion to the food you're eating, so possibly the amount of time we have to wait should differ based on that. Now it's a big chidush which is not brought down in any other of the Rishonim, that something which has a quicker digestion, or if you minced your meat, or if you had chicken which digests quicker, then you should have to wait less. So therefore we have not taken on the Meiri Halacha. We do not differentiate what kind of meat you ate. Always we will wait 6 hours. There is a view to say that in the olden days, there was never a clock to assess the 6 hours. So how would people know that you're exactly 6 hours? So they want to say, that's why the Rambam says, approximately 6 hours. So some want to allow that if you've waited 5.5 hours, then that's already considered into the 6th hour, and that's, if you've got great necessity, then you'd wait. Okay, that's a theory. Maybe in extreme circumstances where people have to eat within the 6th hour for health reasons or for Bitul Torah reasons, we could consider that. However, in the Shulchan Aruch and in the Achronim, which the Kaf HaChaim brings, in the Tzedek, there seems to be absolute no difference. And since today we have clocks, we should maintain the 6 hours as prescribed in the Shulchan Aruch. Maran in the Shulchan Aruch who says 6 hours. To say that because the Rambam says like 6 hours, that to mean any less, we need proofs to that. And therefore, since today, fortunately, we've got this, we're able to keep that, then we should keep 6 full hours, irrelevant if you're having chicken or you're having meat. Young children have different halachot. When you're only educating, first of all, you should be educating your kid to whatever grown-ups usually do. But it depends on the age and on the necessity to how much we should wait. I do have to mention, there is a Pri Hadash which claims that the hours which the Chachamim gave are Sha'ot Zmaniyot, and the differ between winter and summer, but that's too big of a chidush, and it was rejected by most poskim, most authorities. So therefore, we maintain the 6 hours from 24 hours as that's the practice amongst Am Yisrael. That's the minhag of the Sfaradim. I'm not going into the minhag of the Ashkenazim, but the Shach and the Taz say that the God-fearing, the Ramaim says God-fearing people should also keep 6 hours like the Shulchan Aruch requires. So they are subject to certain customs, certain practices from certain places, but it's not our discussion now. People should maintain this separation between meat and milk. The reason why the Chachamim was so stringent in all these halachot of meat, because meat on its own is something which is permissible. Milk on its own is something which is permissible. And people are regularly eat these products. So therefore, in such situation when it comes to food, the Chachamim, in order not to cause confusion, gave us extra restriction for us not to, Khalila, come to the biblical prohibition of basar v'halav.